Okay, back again for another challenge lock. This one is Cameron Dunn, number 1 from 2018. It's called Rough Around the Edges. Just a standard Schley kick cylinder. Fairly normalish looking bitting. Nothing too fancy there. So crank that up in the vise, turn it down a bit, just make sure it still works nicely. Now that we've cranked it in, get a screwdriver out of the way. Stick a nice tension bar. Is that a drill protection moon at the top there? Interesting. Not going to make a difference to picking, obviously. Anyway, let's get to picking. Let's see what it looks like. Four, five. This is one of those ones that kind of feels open and it's actually slightly more restrictive than it looks. Gonna go the other way actually, just because of where that warding ledge sits. Kind of like when you're picking with dimple flags, you want to go against tension. That's sort of what I'm achieving here. Okay, nudge off 2. Oh, open already. That was not too bad at all. Bit of a surprise, really. Not really a lot of counter rotation there, just a bit of a claw turns, I guess. So whatever. It was their number 1, so can't fault them for that. Know the key works, so we'll lock that back up. Just got this thing. Take that off. Back pin out. That out. Stick that. And a shim. Right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this is why I use a shim, especially these kick cylinders. The Schley ones can have construction holes. If you don't want things to maybe fall into, get bricked. Right, so we've got 5 pins. There's threading on 2, 3, and 5. No countermilling at all by the look of it, but some threading. Which, to be honest, didn't really feel, but that could just be, might have been there, I guess. All right, good. Tweezers. 4, 5. Minor pin mods, not nothing, but nothing major. Bit of serrations, a little T-pin top deal. All right, keep in 1 serration. Little brass spring. 2. Got a deep, looks like maybe a factory spool. Look at that closer in a minute, but deep spool anyway. 3, another little serrated pin. 4, another serrated pin. And finally 5, a little like bonbon pin. All right, so obviously this person's very unlikely to be watching this video to hear my feedback, and you know, it was years ago, so who knows, they might become an absolute expert at challenge locks, or they may have never made another one. But I don't know, here's my advice, is that the pinning for this is not bad. The pin work on those, if we focus, man, it's really hard to get this camera to focus. These are not bad serrations. I think that's a factory spool. It's a bit too clean, but these are nice. They have threaded the core. The key pin mods are not bad. They mixed up the springs. That doesn't really do anything. think the biggest letdown on this lock is simply that these kick cylinders here are a little bit rubbish. You can see they're like cast. So it's got all these like, you can see like the casting lines there. Cast sort of zinc cylinder, and then just the front's coloured in, brass coloured. The tolerances of this core will really be letting that down. If this was in a really good, like a Lockwood or a Sargent, something like that, even just this penning without any changes to it would have been way more difficult. But with the really low tolerances, even putting some serrations in it really just doesn't make any difference. They're just not good enough to start with. But yeah, that's basically that. Ideally, you want to cover in these construction holes, but there's nothing here that's pointy that could get stuck in this one, so it wouldn't be too bad. But there we go. Try and, if you're making a first challenge lock, you don't need to start with something crazy expensive. Just, something that is not terrible. Tolerances makes a big difference to how it'll come out. So again, that was Cameron Dunn. Rough around the edges.